Hey, welcome back again for some more X-Files. Today we'll be checking out Fearful Symmetry, episode 18 of season 2. Fearful Symmetry debuted February 24th, 1995 on the Fox network and follows our agents as they investigate a murder seemingly caused by an invisible elephant. Upon further investigation, however, it seems something much more sinister may be in play. The episode begins as a couple janitors are working the night shift when some invisible force of nature goes on a rampage. Also, I don't know how one goes from being a janitor to the killer of Scully's sister in only a matter of a few months. Whatever this force is, it appears to trample a poor construction worker to death who was only 1 month from retirement.
Hey, what do you got here?
Mother of God!
Alright, so I guess it was just an elephant with an invisibility cloak. I don't know what the fuss is though, that's perfectly normal in these parts. Invisible elephants don't seem to be a normal occurrence everywhere, so Mulder and Scully are called in to investigate. I'm wondering if Luis isn't using this opportunity to get close to Scully, knowing what he's going to be doing fairly shortly.
What the janitors describe sounds more like a sonic boom.
Well, no sonic boom did this.
Mulder believes it was the elephant that caused all this damage despite no cameras catching it or anyone actually seeing it.
Ed Meacham, Fairfield Zoo. Sorry for the holdup. We had trouble transporting Ganeshan's body this morning.
They meet a man named Ed Meacham who works for the zoo the animal escaped from. Unfortunately, the elephant died, and best they can guess, it ran itself to death, but they have no idea how it escaped to begin with.
Miss Ambrose?
Yes?
I'm Agent Dana Scully. This is Agent Mulder. We're with the FBI.
The agents make their way to the Fairfield Zoo to speak with Willa Ambrose, a woman hired by the zoo to make sure the animals are being cared for properly. And so far, I would say she's doing a bang-up job. She brings the agents to where the elephant was being held, and it looks so comfy and cozy in there. I have no idea why an elephant would want to leave and go on a rampage.
Those chains in the ground there.
Those are tie-downs. They're meant to restrict the animal's movement. I disallowed their use when I came to work here.
Ed and Willa don't seem to see eye to eye when it comes to the care for the animals, but Ed already has his hands full with a radical group that doesn't believe any animal should be kept in captivity. While the agents meet with the group leader, Kyle Lang, but he takes no responsibility for the elephant's escape. Most likely because he would be charged with accessory for murder, than because he actually cares about the animal.
You want to see what she was running from? I'll show you.
Yeah, if I knew someone was actively doing these kinds of things to any kind of animal, well, I can't exactly say what I would do on YouTube now, can I? The agents mention Willa was brought in to put a stop to these kinds of practices, but Kyle claims she doesn't really know what's going on, as she's too consumed with a lawsuit over a gorilla named Sophie.
Well, we found our suspects.
You think they busted out the elephant?
Well, you heard the man. All animals should run free.
Scully thinks they have their men and even casually explains away why the elephant may have seemed invisible, but Mulder doesn't buy any of it. Mulder tells Scully to keep an eye on the men, while he goes to speak to a weirdo radical group of his own.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Did anybody ever tell you the camera loves you, Frohickey?
Yeah, the arresting officers at the Free James Brown rally.
Mulder contacts the lone gunman over satellite for some reason. I guess phones don't work where he is. And Langley is a no-show because he doesn't like his image bouncing off satellites, or more likely, the actor wasn't available. They claim the area to be a hotspot for UFO activity with a rash of strange animal disappearances.
If that's the lovely Agent Scully, let her know I've been working out. I'm buff.
Scully calls Mulder to tell him she was right, because why else would she call? And one of the kids from the group has broken into the zoo. Scully follows him inside, and someone really likes their Dutch angles.
What the hell are you doing here?
There's a member of the WAO on the premises.
Come with me.
Mulder arrives at the zoo just as all the animals begin to freak out. The kid uses some night vision equipment to check on the animals when a bright light flashes and suddenly the tiger he was just looking at is gone. Even if he was just attacked by an invisible tiger, why the hell does it sound like the Tasmanian devil? Scully questions Kyle over what one of his people were doing last night, but Kyle takes no accountability, claiming he had nothing to do with it.
Well, if I find evidence that he was releasing those animals under your orders, I'll make sure you spend the rest of your life behind bars.
Scully?
Scully's a little firecracker, and I think if no one else had been in the room, she may not have been as nice. Mulder, however, has a tape from the kid's camera and thinks the kid was attacked by some kind of phantom or at least an invisible tiger. Mulder thinks he knows who may have some answers to what's going on, and yeah, he's gonna speak to a gorilla that knows sign language.
Is this who you wanted to speak to?
That's basic investigative procedure, Agent Scully. Interview all possible witnesses.
Scully questioning that Mulder wants to speak to a gorilla as a possible witness will never not be funny to me. Not only can the gorilla use sign language, it's also a very lovely painter. It used finger painting as a way to express that it wants a baby, and this sets a light bulb off in Mulder's head. But I can't believe this is where we're at with the X-Files right now. We just had a setup with alien bounty hunters and clones, and now we have sign language gorillas and invisible elephants.
I'm pretty sure of what we're gonna find.
This isn't exactly in my job description.
Next thing you know, they'll be doing it on MTV Sports.
They're performing an autopsy on the elephant because Mulder has a theory about what could be happening to the animals there. As it turns out, the elephant had been pregnant despite none of the animals at this zoo being able to reproduce for whatever reason, and Mulder suspects they'll find the same thing when the tiger returns.
You hear that?
You're what?
Looks like the tiger returned, and Ed and Willa both seem to have different views on how it should be handled. The tiger has 2 men held captive inside a construction site, but they shouldn't be too concerned because it looks like the tiger's trainer is with it too. Unfortunately, Ed shoots the tiger just before it could attack Willa, and because of this incident, it looks like the zoo may be getting shut down for good. It feels like all Willa really cares about though is her gorilla.
There's no chance those animals could get pregnant. No way.
What if they've been artificially inseminated? What do you know about alien abduction?
You're kidding me.
This is the appropriate response to that statement. Mulder drops on her the theory that the animals may be getting pregnant by aliens, and I don't blame her for being somewhat skeptical of the whole thing. Mulder then tells her to speak to Sophie because he believes she's pregnant too, and she's afraid the aliens are going to come for her baby. A gorilla thinks aliens are coming for her baby. Oh my god.
What did she say?
She said, "Baby, go flying light."
And that's all Mulder needed to be convinced aliens were coming for a gorilla's unborn baby. Willa is then sent a court order informing her she has to surrender Sophie into a protective custody because she did such a great job with all the other animals.
I've come to ask for your help, Kyle.
Help with what?
With nowhere else to turn, she runs to Kyle for help. He refuses to help her because he would rather Sophie be set free in the wild than kept behind bars in captivity. All Willa seems to care about though is that Sophie is hers and she doesn't want to let her go.
Where'd you get this?
I was looking for a pen to finish my report in Willa's office, and that was in her drawer.
Willa and Kyle seemed to be a thing at one point, but had a falling out because of slightly opposing views. Kyle does end up having a change of heart though, and decides to help her. But so much good it does him because he just ends up getting killed.
We have a witness who says that you visited Kyle's office yesterday. Is that true?
The agents question Willa on why she spoke with Kyle and if she asked him for help, which she says no to. They show her a note Kyle had left for her, but she still keeps her narrative that she had nothing to do with him.
Anyway, why don't you ask Agent Mulder what he thinks happened? He seems to have a novel theory. Maybe it was alien abduction.
He needs to watch who he springs that on because it's so easy to just throw it right back in his face. Mulder thinks she may have been involved somehow in Kyle's death, so he asks Scully to examine the body while he checks out the warehouse. Mulder finds Ed, who's acting a little sus. Do the kids still say sus? Scully finds Willa to inform her that Kyle didn't exactly die under mysterious circumstances. He was actually hit with a cattle prod, so Scully's going to be reading her rights.
It was an accident. Kyle surprised Ed. He wasn't supposed to be there.
Willa was desperate and asked for Ed's help, so he took Sophie to another location, and Kyle's death was all an unfortunate accident that Willa really didn't seem all that concerned about.
Put it down, Ed. There's been enough violence, don't you think?
I didn't kill Kyle Lang.
Put down the gun and we'll talk about it.
Ed claims he never killed Kyle and was only doing what he was asked to do by Willa. Ed brings Mulder to Sophie and the animal has gone berserk.
She's scared.
Something has her spooked, and unless they trank her, she's just gonna end up harming herself. They head inside and Mulder is blindsided by the gorilla while Ed runs out, shutting the door behind him. Mulder's lucky the gorilla simply doesn't just tear him apart. I mean, have you heard the 911 call with the lady that owned the chimpanzee? These things don't mess around. Also, don't look that up.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Mulder might not be there to hurt Sophie, but she has no problem throwing hands. Sophie makes some sign to Mulder when a bright light fills the room, and Sophie is suddenly gone. Scully finds Mulder and he rushes out to see Willa so she can explain what Sophie was signing.
What is that?
That doesn't make any sense.
What does it mean?
Man save man.
We've just received a report of a large animal spotted dead.
Sophie suddenly reappeared, heading off back to the zoo, but unfortunately she was hit by a car and ran off into the field.
Sophie?
Fearful Symmetry is an odd episode to say the least. Like, I understand what they were going for with the message of conservationism and protecting of often hunted and poached animals, but turning it into an X-File about alien abductions never really seemed to fit. It's not to say it's a bad episode, there is far worse in the series, it's just an odd mixing of subject matter that I'm not sure works. I would also like to know what's up with 1995 and its obsession with sign language gorillas. Although I'll say I think the one in the X-Files is a little more well done than the one in the big budget Hollywood movie Congo.
Ugly gorillas, ugly, go away.
Fearful Symmetry currently has a 6.4 on IMDb, and personally I'm gonna go with a 5, maybe a 6 if I'm feeling generous. It's just an odd addition that doesn't really work. And I'm not alone in my feeling, as the general consensus from critics was mixed to say the least. Most saw it as forgettable or undercooked. It just needed more time in the writing room to flesh out the story they wanted to tell. Despite the mixed reviews, the episode did receive an EMA award, that being the Environmental Media Award, for its handling of the subject matter. The episode was written by Steve DeJarnett, who wrote and directed the very underrated film Miracle Mile, and would be his only credit for the series. It was also directed by James Whitmore Jr., who is a big TV director, and he too would have this episode as his sole credit for the series. Co-producer JP Finn revealed the hardest part of filming the episode was just getting a permit so they could use an elephant, as elephants generally aren't readily available in Vancouver. Another hurdle they had to overcome were laws that were passed in BC that prohibited the use or appearance of elephants or other large animals to help protect them from being used by less than moral circuses. To skirt around this law, they shot the scenes with the elephant named Bubbles on a road in South Surrey, BC, which for some reason wasn't affected by these laws. Producers were originally worried the elephant would be too scared to run near the truck in the beginning, which was a big part of their shoot, but the exact opposite happened. Instead, Bubbles enjoyed running next to the truck so much so that they had trouble getting the elephant away from it. For the episode, Bubbles would be named Ganesha, taken after the Hindu god. Ganesha is a god with an elephant head and is known as the remover of obstacles, an offspring of Hindu god Shiva and goddess Parvati. The tiger used in the episode was another hurdle they had to deal with, as the Vancouver climate wasn't ideal for the animal. They had to do whatever they could to keep it warm and calm, otherwise it would become temperamental. The title for the episode, Fearful Symmetry, comes from a William Blake poem titled The Tiger. And the construction site where the tiger is on the loose was named Blake Towers after the poet himself. Gillian Anderson once claimed one of her favorite scenes in the entire series was the autopsy of the elephant, which is kind of morbid. Jane Atkinson played the role of Willa Ambrose. She was born in the UK and is most likely known for roles in films like Free Willy and The Village. But she's also had a pretty extensive TV career as well, appearing in 30 episodes of 24 as Karen Hayes and 38 episodes of House of Cards as Catherine Durant. Lance Guest played the naturalist Kyle Lang. He's an American actor, and for the longest time I wondered why he always looked so familiar. So digging into his credits, I immediately noticed he was in the god-awful Jaws the Revenge, which I saw a lot as a kid, and the second best Halloween movie, Halloween 2, as Jimmy. He might be best known though for playing the character Alex Rogan in the cult classic The Last Starfighter. Jack Rader played the role of Ed Meacham. He really doesn't have any really big credits to speak of. He's had a lot of little bit roles here and there, but nothing too major. He does have a bit part in the 1988 remake of The Blob, alongside another X-Files alumni, Shawnee Smith, but besides that, nothing really stands out. Fearful Symmetry is an odd episode, and not one I can really recommend. If you're curious, then check it out, but don't really expect much. Next up is another really odd episode, where agents seemingly experience rapid aging while aboard a missing military ship in the episode Du Calme. I hope you enjoyed today's X-Files video. Let me know what you think of Fearful Symmetry. I really want to know everyone's opinion on this one. I hope you're all having a great day, and as always, stay spooky.
Friday. The animals know something terrifying is coming.
The hell is that?
A force no human can see.
That kid was killed by some kind of phantom attacker.
And no FBI agent can stop. A brand new X-Files.
Open the door!
Friday at 9, 8 Central.